Well, Conrad Murray served 2 years of a 4-year sentence. He joins us now live from the USA. Do you honestly believe, Mr. Murray, that you did all that you could to save Michael Jackson? He was a very vulnerable and fragile patient. Do you think that you did all that you could?
Yes, I did.
You do? You think that I mean, because he trusted you, didn't he? He trusted you. Why didn't you call the emergency services right away?
I am a clinical specialist. I'm critically trained in medicine of the highest level. I'm a specialist as well as a subspecialist, and therefore that is my forte. Reviving patients who requires resuscitation is what I do. So if I stumble upon anyone who is in need of that type of resuscitative effort, then I will go straight into that mode to try to help.
So you honestly believe that you took proper care at the time that Michael Jackson was in your care, that you took proper care of him?
Just absolutely.
Do you not feel any remorse or feel guilty about what happened to him?
I feel very sorry that Michael is dead. There's no doubt about it. It's a loss that I will never recover from. But as far as having remorse of doing something wrong, I did not do anything wrong. Actually, I am an innocent man who was persecuted to the maximum, sent to jail, and has been demoralized over years as far as, being harshly persecuted in every possible way that I could think. But despite the pain and suffering that I have felt, I carry no grudges. I am not in any way looking to avenge what has happened to me. I would like to have my story, hopefully, and the adversity that I've encountered be used well so that I can save the lives of many.
You talk about your pain and suffering. What about the pain and suffering of Michael Jackson's family, especially his children and his fans? I mean, his family were traumatised by this, and as were his fans too. Don't you, you talk about your suffering. What about theirs?
Well, I am very, very sad about Michael's children. There's no question about it. I remember Michael's daughter, Paris, telling me that she did not want to be an orphan. I am as close to those children as a parent can be.
You're not close to them now, though. You're not close to them now, surely. Not in any way at all. They want you to go away, really. I mean, they've actually said that. They would like you to actually leave the United States and to be quiet.
Well, I can tell you this. The Jacksons have caused so much damage to their own son. And if you are a person who is impartial and you understand Michael has been devastated through the years by his own family. Michael severed all ties with every member of his relatives before he died. Now, you don't know that because you were not that close to him, but clearly I do, because I was right in his presence when he makes his statements. There was no communication whatsoever.
Well, his family aren't here to actually rebut these allegations that you're making, but clearly what you're saying you're an innocent man. The jury didn't agree. You went to jail. You were convicted and you went to jail, and yet you sit here still maintaining your innocence. Absolutely.
Have you ever seen innocent men who have been incarcerated who they then found out that an error was made and they finally are released? I'm a man who has been persecuted to the extent. At this time, up till now, I have been blamed by a key witness, Dr. Schaefer, who states that there was propofol, and in propofol there was lidocaine, and although he makes a claim, they have refused to allow my defense team and or myself, despite all of our efforts, to test the substance, to further show that there was no propofol that was left on Mr. Jackson, there was no lidocaine, there was no infusion. The evidence was very clear. There was no evidence of propofol in the bag, in the line that should have been attached to the patient. None of that. It was not there. The evidence does not support that.
Well, that's what you are saying. But again, I would say to you, the jury did not agree with you, and that's why you went to jail. And if you're saying that you had nothing to do with it, then why did Michael Jackson die? What happened?
Michael Jackson, I met Michael Jackson in his state of distress. Michael Jackson was basically lifeless. I was not there. My arms could only stretch so far. I was not even present in his bedroom.
Well, why weren't you present? Why weren't you present? Why weren't you there, and what were you doing rather than attending to your patient?
There was no reason for me to attend to Mr. Jackson any further. Mr. Jackson was given a small dose of propofol around 10:40 in the morning. I did not leave his bedside until about 11:20, 11:25. The effects of propofol are completely gone within 15 minutes of administration. He had no issues. I did not even expect Mr. Jackson to be sedated and to fall asleep with such a minuscule dose of propofol. But in my absence, after leaving his bedside, when the effects of propofol was gone way beyond the 15 minutes, that I was not on the phone. You can also look at the phone records that they blame me for. The last phone call that I made and ended was at 10:43. At 11:07, there was a 1-minute call that came in as a voicemail call. And the next time I used my phone was again 11:20 and 11:25. I moved from his bedside only so that I do not disturb him. But this was a man after 9 hours of no sleep. I wanted him to get some rest if it was possible.
I find it astonishing. I find it absolutely astonishing that someone has been given a powerful drug like that, a drug that's used, as I know personally, is actually used to put you out in operations. We're going to have to leave it there for the moment. We're going to talk to you lots more about your relationship with Michael Jackson and your plans for the future. Mr. Murray, thank you for the moment. Well, Conrad Murray served 2 years of a 4-year sentence. He joins us now live from the United States. How would you describe, Mr. Murray, your relationship with Michael Jackson?
Just a great friendship, of course, you know. I was also his doctor, but I spent more time with Michael as a friend compared to the time that I have treated him medically.
You said, and you have said, that you feel that he's still somehow with you, that he talks to you. Is that correct?
No, I certainly don't hear voices, and that's been misconstrued in the press. Certainly, I dream of Michael. I have written letters to Michael, and I've also felt his touch. Actually, when the verdict of the civil trial was announced not too long ago, I actually felt his touch. And I did fall to tears.
And do you actually feel, honestly, in your heart, you believe that you did all that you could to save Michael Jackson?
I'll say this. I have done everything that I can. I did nothing wrong. And contrary to what has been said, I did not kill Michael Jackson. I think that is absolutely wrong when they make that statement. Michael Jackson was found basically lifeless, and all I did was to make every effort. I was so relentless in my effort to help Michael Jackson. He lived in a 14,000 square foot home, 3 floors, with no working landline telephones. Despite no effort by the paramedics, I got in an ambulance with him, I took him to the hospital, and I did everything I can to help my friend.
Well, obviously the jury didn't agree because they found you guilty and you served 2 years in prison. Now, you oversaw, as you said, Michael Jackson's health care. You say you were his friend, but you were also his doctor. How can you, though, justify that cocktail of sedatives and anaesthetics that you prescribed for Michael Jackson?
Well, let's talk about, you know, first you said the jury did not agree. If you were a member of a jury and you were sitting there and the chief prosecutor, David Walgren, altered evidence in the middle of the courtroom, and when we approached the judge, he said he did not do that. And then he writes a stipulation that was absolutely wrong. That would be considered obstruction of justice, and it would be malfeasance.
But why
by
did
a
you,
public official.
But why did you prescribe all of these sedatives to Michael Jackson and these strong drugs? Why did you do that? As a doctor, why did you do that for him? Was it because he was paying you?
Because what? Because
he was paying you an awful lot of money?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I received not a single dime from Michael for his care. I've taken care of Michael since 2006, years before he passed away. And despite my care and services to Michael, I never charged him. He paid for medicines, which, you know, clearly I was reimbursed, but I've never charged him, and I've never collected any of the $150,000 that has been shown to the world that I was receiving all of this income. I did not. I actually wanted to help Michael. When I was told by AG that Michael was so penniless, he could not afford his home that he lived in, he could not afford toilet paper to wipe himself. He could not pay for popsicles for his children, nothing at all. This man was completely impecunious. I was stunned. But despite that, I stayed with Michael because I wanted to help him.
You
If
say you
Michael
wanted
had
to help
ever
him. Can I just ask you, you say you wanted
Go
to
ahead,
help
just
him.
go ahead.
Why did you then not advise him to cancel that tour, that forthcoming tour, when he was clearly not physically and mentally perhaps capable of doing it, but certainly not physically? Why, as his physician and, as you said, his friend, did you not say, Michael, you can't do this?
Well, I've asked Michael time and time again, and Michael says that he was up to 60% of his performance ability. Could not tell him to stop the show, not to go to the show. My whole goal is that maybe he would be strong enough eventually to go to England. Michael was in debt over $40 million. His only last piece of property was wagered as a mortgage against the money that he was being charged against. Well, AG was bankrolling Michael, all of the money, and he was getting further and further in debt. He was basically in a hopeless situation. He was despondent, he was discouraged. I don't think he had the ability to do the shows. He knew that. He wanted to have hip surgery to delay it. He considered trying to do brain surgery. And it was just odd. Michael was demoralized in so many ways.
But we don't know his financial situation. You're saying that about the promoters. We don't actually know that. Do you honestly believe, as you've said, that you should be allowed to practice medicine again?
I have practiced medicine for 23 years. I'm a critical care specialist. I have taken care of those who were flatlined, the worst of the heart attacks, the cardiogenic shocks. I have saved those patients. In 23 years, I have never had one disciplinary action by any medical boards in the United States. Through all the states that I practice, I've been in the most litigious states in the country, and I have had no warnings and no reprimand, not until this strike. This is the only blemish on my records, and I'm going to do my best to right a wrong that has happened to me.
Mr. Murray, thank you for joining us this morning. It's been fascinating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.